Hi, and welcome to the first of two lectures this week. The first one will be on marketing your program, and the second one will be working with the community. In this lecture, I'll talk about basic marketing, the importance of having some kind of online presence now, licensing requirements for marketing. Surprise, surprise, licensing has a requirement for how you market. It is fairly simple though. Professional standards when dealing with members of the public and the community. And then I did use the source Contemporary Marketing from 2006 by Lewis Boone and David Kurtz for this. I do have a lot of practical experience with running programs and trying to maintain that they're always fully enrolled with children in order to keep my enrollment numbers up and hence the money that I make up. But I don't have traditional educational background in marketing. So this was a source that I used in order to supplement some of the information that I was giving you. So some programs really aren't going to need to market. You're typically always staffed. Perhaps you're a really specific program within a nonprofit. When I was working in drug and alcohol rehab, we did not market our program. It was very much for the population that we were supporting. Some are going to have marketing on a federal or state scale. You know, if you're Head Start, MAC, and places within North County, Neighborhood House down in South Bay do have some marketing, but you also have marketing from kind of federal level with the department that runs your own organization. Same with state programs as well. Then you'll have corporate offices or not larger nonprofit offices like the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club as well that have marketing, disseminating materials and have departments devoted to this as well. And then some are going to need to market just to keep your enrollment high. If you're starting a new program, you're going to have to market aggressively as well in order to cover the cost of your program. So today in the online program, the online assignment that I've really worked at this week is a very low budget way that you can get materials out to parents in order to support and to market your program. For new programs or tuition-based programs, marketing is key. It's huge. It's really kind of a very important aspect of your program. Once again, to keep enrollment up, to keep your tuition up, to keep your kind of center up and running. An online presence and written materials give a certain sense of validity to a program, like you are a real place, you have a license, I can go there, you have a number that I can find online. And that's really important. Finding my daughter's preschool, I was looking at Oceanside. I had a list of things that people had recommended to me, but this one had a great website. They were easy to contact by email and phone and were very responsive to me. And that is the center that she's going to. Obviously, I did a deep dive into it, and I'm very, very happy with the curriculum and the program and this parent support. But it started off really by being near my house and being responsive to my needs. So once again, I always give you a little bit more support when it comes to this. I have a Pinterest page and I have a marketing page that I've gone over and started for you guys. So check that out with some great pins, and it definitely has some information on being online. But this is for essential elements to a winning marketing solutions. And she talks about websites, about Google Maps. So you can pay, and it's typically a smaller amount of money, but you can pay to be higher up on like the Escondido, childcare search. You could pay Google and you could be higher in their searching, having a business Facebook page. Just some simple ideas if you're looking into marketing. Definitely check this out online. And once again, everything's on YouTube for you guys. So while we market, and once again, this comes from that textbook about marketing that I was talking about, we need to analyze a customer's needs. And in this case, it's our family's needs. So what does the family community actually need? Do they need another play-based program, or do they need an after-school academic program to help struggling families? Find out what the actual need and what people are willing to pay and what do they want for a particular community. Then we need to secure information needed to produce services that match a buyer's expectations. So what buyers want and what they need from a program, we need to get the information in order to produce a childcare service that meets their needs. Then we need to satisfy their preferences. Childcare that's open, available for me so that I can work is typically what you need, and we need to satisfy that as well. We also need to make sure that we create and maintain relationships with customers and suppliers and keep them happy. And we'll talk a little bit about suppliers as well when we're talking about working with the community. When we're marketing our organization and also the philosophy of education, we have picked and based our program on. So we're going to communicate what program we are with, what philosophy we have, so that once again, there's not a mismatch in expectations. The parents want one thing, but you're something different. That might be a mismatch. You might be incompatible, and that would not be a good situation for anybody. Keeping professional standards as well when we're representing ourselves to the community and public. We want to have a standard practice, a professional practice, and it's going to be the same and consistent for everybody. The children we take into the program, we're open to all, and we're diverse, and we respect diversity as well. So we have typically a physical location. Most people are going to advertise what their physical location are. If you're an FCC, a family child care, you might not choose to advertise that they're a child care provider for maybe safety reasons. They might not have a sign outside. They might not have, if they have a business page on Facebook, it might not have their physical location because it is a home. So that's definitely very understandable. Some small businesses might choose this as well, but for the most part, a program should have some kind of signage. It should be clean outside. The lawn should be clipped regularly. Renting a power washer to keep the front looking really great. When you drive by, you see a center that is well taken care of, looks safe and clean, will naturally invite parents in. The front lobby, or where you first walk in, is clean and inviting. Think with your 5 senses. You don't want the smell of poopy diapers to hit you in the face. The floor is clean. The walls are, freshly painted. There's children's artwork all over the place. Think about when you walk into a house or a home, something like that, what makes you feel comfortable and invited into the space. Also, the safety of schools is a real concern as well. One of my daughter's schools is very close to a major road in the North County of San Diego. And so it was really important for us that we had a program that we felt had good safety concerns. And they had a really great fence that was very high, that was unscalable for the children because it was kind of curved at the top. And it also had a very specific kind of lock that the children couldn't get in. So parents could get into it, but children couldn't. Along with this, if your space is inviting, if it's clean, if it has freshly trimmed grass, you keep the outside looking nice, you might get drop by interest. You have signage, they know it's a child care center. You might say if you're taking children or you're actively looking for children, then you're going to have drop by interest, and that should be appropriately and professionally handled. Interested parents should be given a brochure or enrollment procedures or an application or a business card, a flyer, something that tells them the next steps that they need in order to enroll. If they can't enroll at that point because you are full, great problem to have. How do they get on the wait list? So information that's professionally or looks professionally produced so that they have a professional connection right from the beginning. If you're a smaller program and it's just you're away on lunch, entrusting a teacher, typically the teacher that has the administrative credentials, so that when you're gone, they step in for you, should be trained and should know where the brochure and all of the professional materials are so that they can talk very briefly about the program and send the parent on the way. Typically, I'd also ask my teachers who had stepped in for me like this to give me the name and the number of the parent so that I could check in with them as well later on. An online presence. We need to have an online presence. I know a lot of programs maybe have not hit the 21st century yet, but at the bare minimum, you have a Facebook page or a simple website, something that has our philosophy location. Once again, if you're FCC, it might not include your location, but that's fairly typical of other things. So think of it as your virtual storefront. So your storefront out in the real world is clean, inviting, it welcomes people in. Same with online, it's the basic information just to decide if they want to contact you any further. An online contact form that goes to an email that is checked very, very regularly will allow families to contact you easily and also allow you to easily set up a tour as well. As our generations are getting younger, people are less and less likely to give us a call on the phone in order to set something up. I do think we need to respect that some people don't feel like they are very good on the phone, and giving them an email way to reach out to somebody will allow us to maybe increase our enrollment as much. Color pictures, a video, something like that if that's on our website or on our Facebook page, will entice families into looking further. You can either obtain pictures from the school program if you have the consent from the parents, or there's always Creative Commons stock photography with pictures of children as well. Written information that you have online should be spelled correctly, and it should be grammatically correct as well. We have been writing a lot of policies and procedures. This is not the end all be all. So if you're taking the work that you're doing with me and you're going to turn it into a real program someday, more people need to look at it. They need to look at it, they need to read it, they need to make sure that it's communicating what you want it to communicate, and that spelling and grammar, which matter a lot, especially on online spaces where you're not meeting face-to-face, are going to be really important. So how do you manage your online presence? And I think this is really particular as well. I know a lot of programs are on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, in addition to like the Brightwheel, Indeed, Remind, all of those types of ways that you can communicate with the parents that are already in your program. The most important thing is, how do you share children's images on the web? You need obviously the written consent of the parents to have this image of their child shown and on social media and things like that. And younger generations are typically more okay with that. And then you also need to let parents know, and you also need to think about how private the sharing is going to be. If you're on Instagram, how private is your Instagram profile, Facebook profile? Do you have a separate blog that's private for parents to access, and the rest of the website is open for anybody who swings by? It's a really personal and individual choice. I would just be aware of it and make a conscious and informed decision about how you want to use social media, just for marketing, for communication with parents, to be part of a social media space, or do you want to keep it more private? It's up to you. The parents just need to be notified, and you need to make a good choice based on what your program needs. So review sites. I have a love-hate relationship with review sites, honestly. We have Yelp profiles, we have Great Schools, we have Savvy Source, and they do give us a certain amount of information. If I was to go by the Great Schools review of my children's elementary school, it was probably a very poor rating. It's a Title I school, it's a very free and reduced lunch. You know, some of the standards for not all the children have been met, but I think, and being a mom there for 3 years, that it's a fantastic school. My children are meeting all of their standards. They're exceeding their standards because they've had such wonderful teachers. They have fantastic extracurriculars. I've joined the PTO. I love it. So if I was go by Great Schools, I wouldn't have chosen that school. But I'm glad that it was my community school, and my children have gone there, and I have just embraced it and loved it. I hope that all parents kind of know that you can't go exactly by what a review site says. Someone can always get mad or have an unrealistic demand or flame somebody else online. The sad state of affairs, though, is that some people take Yelp, Great Schools, all of those types of things like gospel. So what do you do if you get a negative review? And once again, this is personal. These are just a couple of options. The first thing that you could do if you wanted is to reply publicly to the disgruntled person and offer to resolve it. I'm so sorry that you had this situation. I remember having a conversation with you. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to help you at that moment. Can I call you later on and I can offer you a solution, or I'm going to email you, something like that. So you're saying, I understand that you're upset. I'm going to help you later on. You can publicly dispute the account. So if you have receipts, if you have screenshots of your communication and what the person's saying is completely wrong, lies, out of control, just what they've written is wrong, and you have the resources or the receipts that this person is wrong, you can publicly dispute it if you want. That might show that this person is a little bit of an unreliable source, but you also have to look at the other side, that you're going to be then publicly arguing with a former parent or a disgruntled parent, something like that, and what would be how people would see that online, what would kind of be the optics or the public relations view of that. You need to consider both sides when doing that. You can also ignore it if you want as well, and that is a reasonable response as well. Do you consider that, that might be that you're running away from it, or you don't check it regularly, or you don't care that people are upset? You're really going to have to look at all of the options and see what's best. Maybe talk to your network or other directors in your field, or other directors that have worked with this family or this parent or have had similar situations. Will be able to give you some feedback on how to handle kind of negative reviews. I think a big thing and a takeaway if you do get a negative review is to rethink your interaction with this parent and how possibly you could change your professional behavior to change this outcome from not happening again. So if somebody flamed you online because of something, what was it that set this person off? So maybe it was completely unrealistic, completely, they were just totally off bar base. They just were not making sense when they made these demands. But perhaps there is a generational change. I'm close to 40. My interactions with a young parent of 20 or even in their late teens, I'm old enough to be their parent. Our interactions with each other might be generationally charged as well. And that's definitely going to play with how our younger families are using review sites, using social media, and how much of their lives happen to be on it as well. So there is a generational shift. I'm online, but not as much as some of the younger people that I know in my life. How are you going to let your staff use technology and social media is a huge one and a very personal one. I was quite restrictive. Staff wasn't to have their cell phone on them. It needed to be in their purse in a cabinet on silent or off. And they were instructed that their kids, their family, whoever needed them in an emergency was to call the main number, and I would always get the message to them right away. I wouldn't withhold it. I would get the message to them if they did need to go, but they weren't to be on their phone. It wasn't to be in a pocket. A vest, it's not a watch. We have watches in the classroom, and you can also wear them like this. I also gave a presentation each year about the use of social media, the use of Facebook, and that I just highly discouraged friending parents. If parents friend you, you can say, oh, I'm sorry. Professionally, I'm not allowed to be your friend. Like, I always gave them the out. Like, I'm the bad guy. My director's so mean. She won't let you be my friend. Or maybe when you're not in my classroom anymore, you can be friends with me. I said, I can't control your Facebook use. I can't tell you what to do, but I would strongly recommend against babysitting for families that are in your classroom, for friending them on Facebook, to going to their parties, anything like that, because it always makes our professional relationships more difficult. Keeping boundaries, keeping the best interests of the child at heart is always compromised and can be much more complicated with our friends, both virtually and in real time with our families. So once again, I couldn't control it. That was just my personal take on it. So it's up to you. And you also need to talk to them about how they use secure apps, right? We'll remind Seesaw for academic communication. And then also, if you do have a Facebook, Instagram account, or a private blog or a public blog, how do you post pictures, and how do you let the parents know about it? If you have a phone or an iPad in class for work, how do they maintain professional boundaries and their supervision? So how do they keep an eye on the kid while also posting on the phone or the iPad for the parents? All right, so I'm going to jump into just some kind of miscellaneous things coming with working with families and marketing as well. A typical common reward for families is going to be, like, a really common one is if you refer a friend, you get X amount off next month's tuition. A sibling discount, and it could be like, well, the 5-year-old leaves, but the 1-year-old is coming in, they still get a discount. Or like for my twins, being able to go to preschool, I definitely used the 10% discount that I had all the time because they were twins going to school together. It was really, really important because I was paying for 2 like toddler care and then preschool cares, which is a lot of money. And that definitely kept me in the program. Just consider if it's a discount on tuition or a discount for bringing somebody into the program, it needs to be included as a cost in the budget. So you're losing that 10%, you're losing that 50% off 1 month. That's considered a loss in that case, and that just needs to be covered in your budget so you're aware of it. It is a great way, it's worth losing $100 if you brought in a family that's going to give you $500 every month. That's totally worth it. A great way also to keep an eye on your community, to keep an eye on the classroom, to keep an eye on the needs of the program and what the parents say is a family or customer feedback. We're going to talk about parent evaluations in other weeks coming up, but there are anonymous surveys that you can do, and I think they're really important. You do evaluations of me as your teacher. You can have the parents do evaluations of the whole program, including the classroom and the classroom teacher. Other programs, they would send them out to the family and then the family would send them back, or you can have a box in the office where they turn them in confidentially. It's a great way to know what your program is and if you're meeting their needs. A marketing survey is really great as well because it's a way to talk to your community. A lot of corporate programs do this where they pay a lot of money to know in a specific area like Temecula, what is the need for childcare? How can we meet the need that might be coming in an emerging place where lots of new houses are being built? Who's moving into those types of houses, and do they need childcare? You can hire a consultant to help you. You can also get a sense by talking to the Chamber of Commerce, the Better Business Bureau, things like that will also have information about populations, who's moving in, who's moving out as well. I also like to do a survey or an exit interview, they're sometimes called, at the end of their time. So what would you change? What would you improve? What were you happy about? This typically is a time for a parent to be really honest with you about their time with you. I loved this, but I didn't really like that you were closed for 2 weeks at Christmas. I loved this, but this was something that I would improve. If they do it in a constructive way that can really, really let you know with a family that maybe doesn't have ties anymore, that are not trying to keep those relationships going anymore, that might be a really great way to hear a really honest review. Right, so licensing, so really the biggest thing with licensing and marketing is that the license number, the facility license number that you have needs to be in advertisements, publications, announcements if you're going to be attracting clients. So if you're handing out your brochures, a flyer, anything like that in order to boost your enrollment numbers, you need to make sure that your facility license number, which is like a hashtag or a dash, 55991123, something like that. And that also includes any newspaper, magazine ads, consumer reports, announcements in your yellow pages, a professional service or service directory, if you're on the referral pages for the YMCA, a radio or television commercial, anything like that, you need to have your license number. So in this case, licensing is very easy with their regulations. All right, so in order to do the online assignment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what it actually looks like. So you are going to go, so you're going to be online. So in this week's file, what I have, so this is week 12, so you'll be in week 12's module. All right, so in week 12, it's right here. So there's the parent handbook manual, and this is where you will resubmit it. But what you're going to do is you're going to click on the editable parent flip handbook from Kindercraze, and it is a PowerPoint for this week. I have it already open. Let's see, where are you? Here it is. Okay, so this is the PowerPoint, and this is what you're going to just honestly just put your work that you've already done in. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's called an editable flip book. It's from Kindercraze, which is this fantastic website online. So check it out, Maria Minori Gavin. She is the founder of Kindercraze. She's a former kindergarten teacher, and she has a flip book that she would give to parents. So what flip book is, it's just a lot of different papers that you cut into different kind of shapes, and you have different writing on, and so parents can flip it up, and it's really great, and I love it because it's very easy to put on your family command center, your refrigerator, something like that, and you would have, a calendar, you would have class rules, schedules, birthdays, reading, dress code, homework, anything really, really big that you want parents to know about will go on here. So what the first page is going to be is, why am I not seeing? Sorry. Some technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. So this is, so you are seeing the flipbook. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. So this is the flipbook. Once again, great for your command center or your refrigerator. So on the first page is going to just be a welcome. So there's 4 boxes and it says welcome, and then you put the school's name. So welcome to Jolie's Family Dial Care, and then contact info. So if you're writing from an actual place of having a center, write that information in. If you do not have a center, then you can make one up. Jolie's Family Child Care, contact information 760-7777-99999, whatever it is. Then on the third page is our mission statement. So once again, 4 boxes. So add your text right here. We've already written the mission statement, so put it here. If your mission statement is too long, trim it, cut it, make it really short. Mission statements are supposed to be very short, concise, to the point about what you believe about education. So if it's really long, cut it so that it fits in here. And then each part, don't change the thing that I've already written here, mission statement, because when you print it out, all you'll see is Jolie's childcare, then you'll see welcome, then you'll see mission statement, curriculum, all of the headings that I've already put in there. Then curriculum, so this is just 2 sheets. So you're gonna have text here and text here, the same exact curriculum. So at the center, we believe in play-based programs, and then write the same thing. At this program, we believe in text-based programs. So in this, each mission statement is the same, so don't put different ones in. This is a way that you could create a bunch of them from a limited amount of paper. So you would cut this and you would make multiple flip books with each of these types of things. So all you need to do is write the mission statement, then you put in your curriculum. Then that next one, you either do a schedule or a routine. If you have a center that has preschool programs that have a schedule and infant toddler programs that have a routine, then consider doing both. If you are writing from the perspective of just having a schedule or just having a routine, then you can choose which one you want to put in. But if it's schedule, or routine, schedule, it's totally up to you and what you envision yourself running, or what you do run currently. We've already written this. I think it was in the infant and toddler program, and then in the preschool and school age program, you did write a policy about schedules and routines. Then health, we already wrote a policy about health. It was about staff, but it would be very easy to change the wording to make it about parents. So this is what we think about health. Same thing, exact same writing right here. This is what we think about health. Then I did birthdays and holidays. It's a huge issue. And once again, this is something for your fridge, for your parent command center. So these are the days that we're off, or this is our policy about birthdays. Whatever it is, that's like the main thing that I always hear from families and programs is there's a mismatch between what parents think they can do for birthdays and what how your program celebrates birthdays, and then also the holidays and the days that you take off. Once again, this is something the parents could easily look back at it, so we would want to know what's the actual holiday, so maybe they don't show up on your professional development day pissed off because they can't drop their kid off. They might actually read it. Then safety, so big thing about what are you already doing about safety? How do you keep children safe and supervised? And then what do you need from parents as well? And then the last one is free choice. So once again, you have a lot more information in order to write here. So if you are a religious program, what is your procedures about taking children to chapel or mass or synagogue? If you run a play-based program where children get super wet and messy and dirty, then you might want to write about dress code, like bring your kids ready to go outside in inclement weather, your kid's going to come home messy. If you run any type, an FCC, what are the policies that are really important to an FCC provider that they want parents to know? Once again, this is what it's ultimately going to look like. You're not going to make it. You're literally just turning this PowerPoint in back to me. You're going to re-upload it back onto Canvas. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to give you all of your points because they usually look super cute in your policies. You've written almost all of these policies already. You just need to cut and paste it into this. So don't make it for me. I don't want to see this in paper at all. This is an online class. Just re-upload this for me. If you did want to make it, the great thing about KinderCraze and this woman, Maria, is she's giving you great instructions so that you could create one of these for your family. So when they enroll or when they come and check out your program on the first day or after they've expressed interest, you can give this to them. It would be fairly cheap to provide because you just need to print a lot of things. And printing does have a cost, but not as much as maybe making a brochure. Second of all, with established parents, if you were to give this to them every year with your calendar, your schedules, dress code, whatever it is, you know, you can, if you like this, then you can create this for your own program very easily. She's given you the instructions right here on how to actually print it up. So on each one, she has an information about how to cut it and print it in order to make this flip book. But I chose this because I think that would be really nice for a parent to put on their fridge. And if they ever had questions, instead of emailing or calling or asking you the next day or being confused and showing up when you're closed, they could flip to the page that says holidays and say, oh, it's Veterans Day is coming up. That center is closed. I can't bring my child in. All right, so I'm going to go back to the online assignment. So that's the parent handbook. Once again, it can be used for parents when they enroll. It's cheap enough to produce. So read the online instructions because you're just doing a PowerPoint and then you're just uploading it for me. If you're on a Mac and you're having a hard time using this PowerPoint document, feel free to recreate it on some kind of PowerPoint. I won't care as much about margins and stuff like that if you're having to recreate it on your own. Shoot me an email though if that's the case as well. So most of them are policies we've already written. We've written health, we've written safety, we've written curriculum, we've written mission statement, we've written about routines and schedules. So the only thing that you're writing this week really on your own is to free choice. So pick a policy for your programs. If you are state funded and you want to talk about paperwork and signing in and out, do what you need to do in order to have a great resource to give parents. If you're a religious program, talk about the church schedule. It's totally up to you. Don't print it out, don't make it. I don't want to see it in like person. I just want to see it re-uploaded on Canvas. If you want to see an example in real time about what this looks like on YouTube, once again, it's called the Editable Parent Handbook. And this is from a school teacher, and this is for her class, and this is exactly what I've given you in PowerPoint form. This is just a video example of what the finished PowerPoint handbook would look like. So in conclusion, we just talked a lot about how do you conduct yourself to attract families, to keep qualified employees, to keep enrollment up, to generate buzz, to have wait lists, to keep your enrollment, to keep those numbers up, to keep your program running. So how do you remain professional? How do you have professional standards and also market your program so that it meets the needs of the community and the families around you so you are fully enrolled at all times? There's one more PowerPoint after this.